100 subscribers. That feels at once too much and so little at the same time. I had a different group of skills I planned to cover for this episode, but special events call for special skills. And what's more special than some secret skills? In Duel Links, you can create duel rooms, PvP areas with customized rules. Two of the general format rule set options are the basic speed and rush formats, but there are some others that are variants of old PvP events that have been held in the past. These are turbo duels and legacy duels. These formats have specific regulations on legal cards and characters, but the primary differences come with the special EX skills unique to these rule sets. These EX skills are unconnected to your current dex skill and can allow for strategies that were never possible before, either in these specific rule sets or in general. To begin, legacy duels are a format that uses mostly old cards and characters, trying to mimic the feel of the original release of Yugioh, though with some modern support thrown in to smooth over some of the more haphazard bits of card design. At time of writing, the Duel Room only allows a list of characters and cards related to the original Duel Monsters series to be used, and provides the EX skill Advance Drive. However, recent Legacy Duel events have focused on GX characters and upgraded the Advance Drive skill to GX Drive by giving it an additional function, which would feel rude to leave out. Regardless of name, the skill can only be activated twice per duel. Advance Drive allows you to perform a tribute summon in addition to your normal summon that turn. This allows easier use of tribute monsters such as Luster Dragon No. 2 or Jinzo. Simple, but effective, especially without the modern infrastructure to get tributes out quickly. The additional functionality of GX Drive is, as one would expect, fusion-focused. Rather than gaining a tribute summon on activation, you can instead reveal a fusion monster in your extra deck, then add either one of its listed materials or a copy of Polymerization from your deck to your hand. However, you are then placed under a heavy restriction until you summon the fusion monster you revealed. You can't summon monsters or use any of their effects, nor can you use your regular skill. Is there some cheeky deck that wants a specific monster in hand but doesn't want to use anything but spells and traps? Probably, but not in this limited card pool, so you should really only use this if you are short one piece of your fusion monster. The game state acceleration these drives provide helps the flow of legacy duels immensely without letting monster spam combos get out of hand, to the point that a legacy duel I had during a GX event is one of my favorite duels ever. I hope that the future GX updates to this mode in the duel rooms can live up to that legacy. Before we move on, remember to click all the YouTube buttons. And thank you to everyone who already has. Alright, here's the meme. Turbo Duels, aka card games on motorcycles. In this mode, only 5Ds and Arc 5 characters may be used, but any card legal by the current Duel Links card pool is available. These duels use a unique mechanic called speed counters. Each player has their own count of speed counters that caps at 12 and are used to pay for the abilities of their EX skills, which they can then use as much as they want as long as they can pay for them. The count starts at 0 and increases each standby phase for both players by a varying amount. That amount starts at 1, but increases by 1 for each turn cycle until it reaches 3, where it will stay for the remainder of the game. So for the first turn, both players barely get any, but if the duel goes on for a while, then the gain will be very significant each turn. If those aren't enough speed counters for you, then normal or synchro summoning a monster also nets you an additional speed counter per summon, so if you are really good at synchro spam or playing Gyosenju, you could get a pretty high amount even on your first turn. But what are the abilities of the EX skill, and how much do they cost? Well, see, that's the thing. There isn't a single EX skill for turbo duels. At the time of writing, there are 14, each related to a specific character and marked with their duel runner. You see the rest of the video runtime? It's all motorcycles. Though just because a runner is associated with a character doesn't mean it's exclusive to that character. You may use any runner you wish with any character. These EX skills are dense, as all of them have 4 effects, so I'm going to try and be quick here. They don't call it a turbo duel for no reason after all. The first duel runner is the Yusei Go, used by the one and only Yusei Fudo, and gives the EX skill speed spell Acceleration. By using 4 speed counters, all monsters you currently control gain 200 attack points. Permanently. By using 6, you can play a level 4 or lower normal monster from your hand without taking up your normal summon. By using 8, you can draw 2 cards then discard 1 card, a reference to the Yusei staple spell in the show, Angel Baton. And finally, by using 10 whole counters, you can add any tuner monster from your deck to your hand. Nothing outstanding here, but nothing outright bad either. The draw effect alone can unironically draw attention for a bit of late game advantage. Use this if you like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That's not an insult, by the way. A good PB&J can really hit the spot. The Blackbird is Crow Hogan's dual runner and gives access to Speed Spell Trickster. For 3 speed counters, you can increase the attack of a monster you control by 100 for each of your opponent's speed counters until the end phase. For 6, you can turn a monster you control into a tuner, not tuna, tuner. Also for 6, you can play any tuner in your hand for free, even if it's a high level one. And for 10 whole counters, you can gain the forbidden power. You can draw 2 cards. Do you want tuners on your field? This gets tuners on your field. Use it if you like green level numbers. The Master of Faster, Jack Atlas, uses Phoenix Whirlwind, which provides the powers of Speed Spell Power Force. Using 5 speed counters will increase the attack of all monsters on your field by 500 until the end of the turn. Using 7 lets you draw a card. Using 8 gives all monsters you control an extra 1,000 attack until the end of the turn. And using up all 12 of your speed counters lets you destroy a face-up monster on your opponent's field. Very strong. Big number. Use this if you are a fan of Unga Bunga, though the fact that 5 is the lowest cost is very annoying. The runner for fan favorite Akiza Azinski is Bloody Kiss, giving the powers of Speed Spell Black Rose, all of which are activated by removing 4 speed counters. For that price, you can give one of your monsters piercing. You could also have the defense of all of your opponent's monsters. There is also the option of changing the battle position of an opponent's monster, likely to defense position, or you can let a monster you control attack all of your opponent's monsters once each. Are you sure that's an effect you just want to hand out? That's dangerous amounts of damage, especially if you're playing something that can spread around debuffs. Use this if you feel like being a mad genius to combo all these effects together. Officer Tetsu Trudge uses the standard dual runner for Sector Security, which grants speed spelled Sector Security. Not the most creative names here. By removing 3 speed counters, you can check one of your opponent's set cards. By removing 4, you can prevent your opponent's speed counters from increasing more than 3 times next turn. Also by removing 4, you can take an opponent's monster from the graveyard that was destroyed by battle and can be normal summoned, then put it on your field for the turn. Finally, by removing 8, you can prevent either player from banishing or summoning cards from the graveyard until your next turn. So it's either incredibly underwhelming or incredibly specific. Only use this if you really like lockdown effects. Antinomies Delta Eagle comes rushing in with Speed Spell Clear Mind. Removing 3 speed counters lets you turn any synchro monster on your field into a tuner. By removing 5 counters, you can play any synchro tuner from your graveyard in defense position. Removing 7 counters can cheat out any level 2 or lower synchro from your extra deck. Synchros can normally only get as low as level 2, but the Ursartic players must love that the devs specified lower for their level 1 synchro. Finally, removing 9 counters revives any synchro in your graveyard that requires a synchro monster as material. Wow, can you say Excel synchro spam? This mad lad wants all your synchro material to be as white as Antarctica. Use this if you like blasting Masaki Enda songs. From here on out, each of the EX skills will change the standard rules slightly. Leo and Luna's dual boards only let you use each of their effects twice per turn. That's not much of a hindrance considering the amount of stars that have to align for you to get enough counters to pay for even the cheapest costs 3 times, but to each their own. I will be covering both the twins at the same time for reasons that will become obvious shortly. As for that limitation, I guess the devs were scared of players abusing the cheapest turbo duel ability, as by using 2 speed counters, Leo can let you change any monster's battle position. And nothing else. Using 3 does let you search your deck for any equip spell, so I guess the concern is more fair on that one. Luna can do the same with field spells, which can be very nasty. I remember spamming Summon Breaker to floodgate at my opponents during Turbo Duel events, which is probably why that card is banned now. By using 4 counters, each twin can return a spell from your grave to the deck to draw a card. Leo requires equips while Luna specifies field spells. Luna can use 7 counters to send a level 4 light beast from your hand to the graveyard to grab a random one from your deck, which is very funny in Boojins if inconsistent, while Leo's 7 counter effect lets you send a level 7 machine synchro you control to the grave to play any dragon synchro from your extra deck with the same attribute. It's meant to be able to turn Power Tool Dragon into Lifestream Dragon, but you can get away with some very funny stuff because there is no level specification on the summoned monster. Finally, Luna just lets you play a level 7 Earth Machine Synchro from your extra deck in exchange for 8 counters and having a level 7 Light Dragon Synchro in defense position on your field. There are some weird parallels here, but in general, Leo is for cheesy combos and Luna is for committing war crimes with field spells. Use these if you like to play Noble Knights or like feeling Galaxy Brain. Sherry's Strummen Drang has the property of reducing the activation costs of speed spell Fleur de Orage by 1 counter if you have less speed counters than your opponent. Using 5 counters can increase the attack of all your fusion and synchro monsters by 500 until the end of the turn, or it can add a fusion or polymerization normal spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Normal spell, not quick play spell, don't get any super poly-shaped ideas. Using 7 counters puts a level 2 light or dark machine tuner from your hand or graveyard onto your field. And I know I was joking about Noble Knights earlier, but with 9 counters you literally can add a Noble Knight monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Which is weird until you remember Sherry has her own line of Noble Knights unrelated to the others. So this runner is encouraging the use of fusion monsters but doesn't let them contribute to the speed counters you need to pay for the effects. I guess if you want to use a fusion in your synchro deck, this works. For the Dark Signers, there is Giganto L, giving access to Speed Spell Earthbound. Unfortunately unrelated to the cult classic SNES JRPG, this skill's effects require you to pay all of your speed counters with a minimum of 3 to activate all of them. However, if you reached certain thresholds of speed counters before you activated the effect, you get a bonus. Effect 1, one of your monsters gains 100 attack points per level. If you paid at least 10 counters, it gains a flat 2,000 instead. Effect 2 puts the Yami field spell in your field zone. At a minimum of 5 counters, it's replaced with the actually useful Earthbound Geoglyph. Effect 3 grabs an Earthbound Immortal from your graveyard and either puts it into your hand, or if you paid the 10 counter premium, puts it on your field instead. It will still explode if you don't have a field spell, however. Effect 4 adds an Earthbound Immortal from your deck to your graveyard, which is a fun combo with Effect 3. Or, if you have 5 speed counters, it shortcuts that process and puts the Earthbound Immortal straight in your hand. Use this if you enjoy attempting to remake the world. There's been a lot of synchro talk this episode, but what if you hate them? Then hitch a ride on Primo's Terrible Omen, whose effects are all once per turn. Speed spell Synchro Absorption prevents you from gaining speed counters when you synchro summon. Instead, you get 3 if your opponent synchro summons. This instantly turns on its first effect, for which 3 counters summons a level 1 monster in defense position from your opponent's graveyard. It also puts a synchro monster from their graveyard onto their field. What would you even do with a random level 1 monster that your opponent is playing? Maybe the next one will be better. Okay, removing 4 counters puts a level 1 from your hand onto the field as long as it could be normal summoned. Or it could be a Mech Lord Emperor if your opponent has a synchro monster to immediately eat that synchro. Removing 6 lets you banish a monster from the opponent's graveyard. If they have a synchro monster in the graveyard, the banished card gets completely deleted instead, which is always fun. Finally, removing 9 lets you dump a synchro monster from your opponent's extra deck to the graveyard. Just a synchro. It does nothing if they don't have white cards. Wow, that's over-specialization to a fault. Use this if you exclusively play against Quasar combos and under no other circumstances. Hey, do you remember the 10th anniversary movie Bonds Beyond Time? That's okay, not many people do, but its main villain isn't Duel Links along with his runner. Speed Spell Paradigm Shift has an additional speed counter condition, giving 2 each time you special summon a level 5 or higher monster. However, it's also the only runner with gameplay restrictions, preventing you from summoning Xyz or Link monsters. Paying 3 speed counters allows you to return any amount of monsters from your graveyard to the deck, but you must also return the same amount of banished monsters as well. 4 counters increases the attack of a level 7 or higher monster by 100 points times its level. 5 counters gives all your Malefic monsters piercing for the turn, and a whopping 10 lets you summon a Dragon Synchro monster from your opponent's extra deck. This is surprisingly good for fusion-centric strategies, better than Sherry's runner at least. It is also very funny the once in a blue moon when the 10 effect actually goes off. Next up, we have some Arc 5 duel runners, and unlike the show, Turbo Duels here match exactly with the 5Ds version considering they're on the same ladder. Yuya Sakaki especially gets really wacky as speed spell Crossover Acceleration is another that removes the speed counter gain for synchro summons. Instead, you gain 1 speed counter for each time you put a card in the pendulum scale, and a whopping 2 for each pendulum summon you do. Paying 3 counters can increase your pendulum scale by 2 until the end of the turn. 4 counters gives all of your pendulum monsters 300 attack points permanently. 7 counters will play a level 4 or lower pendulum monster from your extra deck, and 10 counters lets you search your deck for any pendulum monster. If you play a pendulum deck, this is your runner. This is not a recommendation, this is an order. Hold on, why does Yugioh get 2 runners? Well, okay then, I'll guess I'll cover it too. Jokes aside, Yugioh's speed spell Clearwing actually has no rule changes. Counters just go up with synchro summoning like normal. Removing 3 counters lets you change the level of one of your monsters by 1, either up or down. Removing 4 plays a level 3 monster from your hand that can be normal summoned. Removing 6 will play any tuner monster from your hand, and removing 10 searches for any tuner monster in your deck. Basic, but good, especially if you use 3s. I would recommend this if your name is Terza Flatwood. And finally, Eurogoha's Rush Duel Runner is not in the game. Give me the fast man, Konami, I can be trusted to be normal. I don't really have any big notes to end on aside from thanking everyone for the support. I know the topics I've been uploading have been a bit chaotic. I wanted my first year or so to be a lot of experimentation to see what kinds of videos I could realistically make and that audiences would enjoy. I'm not saying you need to watch everything I make 3 times over or that I am radically changing directions, but just don't brush me aside if you see a video or 2 you don't click with. Odds are something else you do like will be showing up soon. Until next time, thanks for watching.